Everybody, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And of course, as always, I'm your humble host, Niko. House. Today I have with me a very, very special guest. He is the president of BCTGM Local 50 Union out there in Omaha, Nebraska. He's been one of the figureheads here in Nebraska on the Kellogg strike. And somebody I would like to think at this point I could call a really good friend, Dan Osborn. Dan, how you doing, man? So, of course, man. Hold on, let me make your sound kind of went out for a second, but I think it's on my end. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure everything's good. Okay, you should be good. Now, give me a little mic check real quick. Make sure everybody can hear you.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Got
7.
you. Okay, we're good. We got you in here, man. But yeah, you say you're hanging in there, and I know things have been a little tight lately, not just for you, but for everybody dealing with this strike right now. Unfortunately, I know that negotiations broke down recently. You all got to the table again. At least got a contract put together, but Sunday when the votes were held, it didn't exactly go the way it's expected. Can you go ahead and detail that a bit?
Yeah, we had our vote on Sunday. All 4 of our local unions around the country. There's one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Memphis, Tennessee, Battle Creek, Michigan, and here in Omaha, Nebraska. Everybody voted on the tentative agreement that was proposed, and it unanimously got voted down or rejected.
Unanimously. Why do you think it was unanimous? I thought that there was like at least a good amount of improvement. I wasn't expected to be a unanimous vote down.
Yeah, I think, for a lot of people, it's kind of like buying a car, right? You never pay sticker price, and you never take the first offer. There is some language in our 2-tier system that was very concerning to people. I could get into that. We have a 2-tier system. Currently, 30% of our employees are on a lower tier. The company and the union kind of negotiated the way that 2-tier system looks. It's a little bit different than it was originally. They want to propose to move up transitionals into the upper tier by using total head count. So what that means is every year at the contract anniversary date, they would do a head count of total employees at each plant, and 3% of the transitional employees, which is the lower tier, would move into the upper tier. If you're just starting out, there might be 130 roughly transitionals in the Omaha plant. It might take you 8 or 9 years to be able to move up in that upper tier. We would like to see that 3% figure a little bit higher.
8 or 9 years. How often do y'all do your collective bargaining agreements? It seems like it would be
every 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, so they could actually move that goalpost before anyone actually gets to see the benefits of that, correct?
Correct. That's part of what's concerning in that language. Right. And they also, that 30% cap that I told you about, they want to remove that. So they could, that kind of leaves it open for them to be able to manipulate our numbers. So
they still want to remove the cap.
Yeah, they still want to remove the cap.
And the cap you're referring to is that 70%, 30% roughly, where 70% are legacy workers and 30% are transitional workers. So,
correct.
Now, this was the whole, like all the union voted, right? At the national level. And it was voted down unanimously. So, I mean, what do you think was the goal here? I felt like, at least from what I read, that with the negotiations were supposed to happen, then they wouldn't move off the 2-tier system, like recently within the last couple of weeks. Then they went back to the table, sat down. It seemed like they were willing to move off that 2-tiered system, or at least, create a reasonable transition into the legacy stage for the transitional workers. And it seems like once the contract actually got put back out there in front of everybody, they just kind of, just did what they've been doing, which is they BS you guys and gave you false hope. Why do you think they decided to seemingly ignore what previous negotiations had established?
I think they're trying to play the long game. It's pretty obvious. When this first started, from the first negotiations, the 2 weeks we were there, they only negotiated 10 hours out of that 2 weeks, and what they were proposing, by removing our cost of living adjustment, which keeps us even with inflation, and making the two-tier permanent system, which eventually everybody there would only be one tier and it'd be the lower tier. That's why we went out on strike. We had no choice but to fight that. Uh, so for them not negotiating in good faith tells me one thing, that they set out to break the union, and they're not done yet. They think they still have some cards to play, which they're currently playing right now. As if you've been following the media, you've seen that they're threatening to permanently replace us with other workers, and effectively dismantle the union once more. So as far as the legalities of them being able to do that, it's basically, there's two reasons for a strike under the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, or the NLRA, the National Labor Relations Act. And one is for economic purposes, and the second is for labor issues, which means oh shoot, I'm forgetting the word right now, but unfair labor practices.
Mm-hmm.
If you're striking for unfair labor practices, they cannot legally replace you. If you're striking for economic purposes, they can. Which we've been trying to get that language changed. In the NLR.
I mean, I feel like from what y'all have experienced, it is unfair labor practices, right? Where y'all, because of the transitional workers not being treated fairly, the high turnover rates because of that, which leads to you guys working 12, 13-hour days, overtime on overtime that you can't even refuse to work, overtime that they ask you to do last minute at times. I do feel like that falls in the category of unfair labor practices, which is why it's so important for that language to be hammered out.
Correct. We didn't go on strike for hours or anything like that, so it probably wouldn't fall under that category. But what we have right now is we have two charges against Kellogg's and the NLRB for negotiating in bad faith and unfair labor practices. So our international lawyer says we have a very good chance. She actually used the word, or the number, 99%. I don't know that lawyers typically ever use that high of a percentage, but they said there's a very good chance that one of those charges will stick. And if it does, then effectively we're also on strike for unfair labor practices, and they cannot legally replace us.
So that's good. And so I guess, do you think that might have something to do with why Kellogg's seem so aggressively deceptive, I guess is the only thing I can think of to call it, aggressively deceptive and disingenuous in their fair labor, or in their labor negotiations, because it seems like they want to finally be done with this, but then they turn around and kind of like, hey guys, here we go. Like, this is exactly what we've been, giving you guys this entire time. But it seemed like what they did was they benefited the legacy workers a little bit more immediately, the current transitional workers a little bit more immediately, but ultimately it's still going to lead to the problem that you all were striking against to begin with, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And as far as when they're going to I don't know, concede, for the lack of a better term, or give in, they have a whole team of probably Harvard educated lawyers, and they have a crew that sits there and does nothing but try to figure out different ways to beat us. And what they're doing right now, I think they're shooting off the last arrow in their quiver, with everything that they're doing in the media. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to test our resolve through Christmas. They're leveraging the winter months. and they're trying to get us to cross the line and go back to work.
Yeah.
Cross the picket line.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, man. It's sad. It really is. And I know it's got to be frustrating. Can you tell us a little bit about the toll it's taking on the families that are having to deal with this, that may not be working within the factory, but have, obviously are just as reliant on that paycheck coming in?
Yeah, before I get into that, I'd like to touch on, you said it's sad. The reason why it is sad is our CEO, Steve K. makes $6,400 an hour, right?
Ooh,
And
Jesus.
and we've estimated that they've spent close to $600 million to date on this strike. So that's exactly what it is sad, why it is sad. But this is the choice that they've made. Once this is all over, they're going to have to live with that choice. If we get back to work, when we get back to work, there's going to be a lot of rebuilding of relationships, and they're going to have to fix their name.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big boycott going on.
And they're going to have to explain to shareholders why they just threw, in my opinion, over half of $1 billion. And then obviously it's going to be a little bit more before the end of the year down the toilet, because they just made all these massive gains. The CEO's got a massive raise as well because of the pandemic. And now they just threw away $500 million.
Yeah, their stock went down $1 yesterday. They're gonna have to answer some hard questions to people who invest in that company. But to go back to your other questions, as far as the human aspect of it, and my members and the ones who are standing out on the street every day picketing, it's definitely taken its toll on us. Like I said, they are trying to test our resolve, and Christmas is right around the corner. Some people are struggling more than others, depending on how good a saver you are. Some people are spenders, some people are savers. But a hard part about it is they shut our medical insurance off on October 5th, the day we went out to strike. Now, during the John Deere strike, John Deere chose not to shut their medical off. What that does is that puts people's lives, not just our livelihoods, but our actual lives at risk. We have people battling cancer. We have members whose children, need expensive medications, and right now everybody's worrying about how they're gonna accomplish that. So we did have a member commit suicide. So that's the ultimate.
Oh man,
that's the ultimate loss right there, right? So this whole thing, even if one life lost, it's just kind of who we're dealing with.
That's what's sad about it. Preventable, completely and totally preventable.
Absolutely, it is. And like I said, we believe we were forced into this. There was no way we could have taken that contract, that initial contract that they did. That would be the end of the strong American middle class job that it is. So that's why we chose to fight this fight, or we feel like we didn't have a choice. But
and I would say too, the state. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been in Nebraska, but basically 90% of the state lives in two cities, on the East Coast. So I don't know what the rest of Nebraska is for, but most of the city, and
it's to feed the rest of the world.
Yeah, right. Nebraska, then of course Michigan, Tennessee, and even Pennsylvania. All four of those states have been hit tremendously hard by disastrous trade deals, jobs being exported out of the states, the middle class being hollowed out. I would say that Kellogg's workers are probably some of the only consistent middle class workers that are left. And so this strike is bigger than just the Kellogg's workers, but really the stability of the economy of those states. And if the transitional workers, or if that cap is lifted, just to kind of cement this for everybody, if that cap is lifted, there will be no more legacy workers like Dan, who can retire comfortably, who will be able to support his family, whose kids will be able to benefit from that, and therefore the economy will be able to benefit from that. they will be working. I mean, they'll make, I guess, a little bit more money than McDonald's, a couple of dollars more than working at a McDonald's or some type of job like that. But at the end of the day, that's not what creates a strong economy. And you're talking about, once again, just ripping out the middle class from 4 states that have already faced that type of turmoil. And so this is a big deal. And so, Dan, how can people help with this cause, whether it be donating food, whether it be getting the message out, and how can media get in contact with you so they can start telling their part of the story, your part of the story?
Yeah, I wanted to say too, touch on what you just said, and Kellogg's bringing in replacement workers. We have it on good authority that they're replacing us with a good percentage of undocumented workers.
So now they're going to be taken advantage of.
We have been in contact with Homeland Security and ICE. We've made our claims. I hope they do the right thing and investigate our claims. So, with that being said, that's what Kellogg's is trying to do right now. Like you said, take these American middle class jobs and just make them so you don't have a livable wage and you can't afford to raise a family on that.
Yeah. And undocumented workers, people, in case you're curious, they will be paid less than the transitional workers are right now. You can bet on that. They don't bring undocumented workers in to pay them just as much or more than the workers they currently have.
Yeah. But, if the easiest way somebody can help would be to simply just not buy Kellogg's products. They make a lot more than just cereal. They make Cheez-Its, Kashi brand, Club Crackers. Take a quick Google search to find out everything that Kellogg's produces. And it doesn't matter. They could bring in 1,000 undocumented workers and 1,000 other workers from around the country and produce all they want. But if nobody's buying, it doesn't matter how much you can produce. So that's kind of where our initiative is right now, is the boycott. But if they wanted to help individually, they could go to BCTGM 50G.com and you can click the donate here button. That's going to go directly to the employees, for helping people pay their bills or whatever it is we can do to help out our members. If you're in any one of those local areas, whether you're in Lancaster, Memphis, Omaha, or Battle Creek, you could try to get in touch with one of the union officials and talk to them directly, see what they need as far as food or water, if they wanted to help out directly like that.
Awesome, man. And I'll go ahead and put the email in the description for everybody in the comment section so you all can donate. I know they have Dan's a PayPal, and like I said, if you're media, especially if you are media, independent or otherwise, please contact Dan, reach out to him. At the bare minimum, tell the story. I know a lot of the coverage of this has been, not, I won't say vague, but it's generally included the union as a whole, and Kellogg's as a whole. But as you can hear from Dan, there are people being affected by this. You're talking about healthcare being taken away, people committing suicide, children not being able to get the health care that they need, people selling everything they can to pay for medical bills. Dan just told undocumented people are about to be taken advantage of. We already know how that goes. And this is not, unfortunately, this isn't even, this is par when we're talking about these type of states taking advantage of these workers. I mean, the list really does go on. In case you did not know, because Dan mentioned briefly, there are people outside on strike 24/7 at this plant. This is Nebraska, people. It's cold. I'm preaching. I was just there. It is really cold. It's, people are there 24/7, huddled up. People need food. They got kids. I mean, this is serious stuff. And yet, and still, you have people like Dan and these other workers, not only in Nebraska, but in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, putting it all on the line, for the workers who didn't get the opportunities or might not get the opportunities that the legacy workers did and have so far. So, Dan, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you coming back on.
Thank you.
Good luck, of course. And much love to you and the family. Tell them I said what's up from both me and Susie. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, guys, get in contact with Dan. Go tell this story to everybody
And
else.
I wanted to leave one final thought, and I already
do.
said it before. Our CEO makes $6,400 an hour. Let that sink in.
I can't even fathom. I literally cannot fathom that. Unless I was a basketball player.
We just want our slice of the pie.
There you go, man. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. For everybody else, thanks for watching this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, leave a comment below but always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.